Welcome to Joyous Edge, where we talk to top executives and performers about their journey, what they do when they're at their edge and breaking point, and what brings them joy in the everyday hustle.
This is the Joyous Edge. It's time to shine.
Dr. Cody, thank you for joining me today, or joining us today. I met you through BBG, through our Brand Builders group. And I have to say, I mean, I've been doing your program for about 33 days, and I've just experienced such a transformation so far on the 33 days that I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to get Dr. Cody on here.
Yeah.
So I would love for you to share, one of our focuses is burnout and overcoming that burnout. Can you share some of the challenges that you see your clients face with burnout or that are approaching burnout and some of the things that they go through?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. And you've done really well because I think you were down 15 pounds in
15.
33 days.
I know, it's
Just
great.
so people know that. That's powerful.
Thank you.
And so it's interesting because you were talking about, executives, and I know a lot of your audience is females. When we look at burnout, what happens is a lot of times that are in terms of values, most of the executives, their value is production, business, getting things done. Right. What happens is our value for health and ourselves gets to be put last. Mm-hmm. And I think it's naturally what happens in general.
Don't we know it?
Right. Yeah. It's just kind of demanded from life and from, the business in general.
Yeah.
But so what I find is in my program, which you're figuring this out, is very often when my entire program isn't so much how do you eat, we do cover that.
Right.
Like how do I reset my hormones? We do that. How do I sleep right? We do that.
Right.
But the thing is, how do I put myself first?
So true.
how that's big, right?
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is how do I love myself so much that I put myself before this business? Now, that might sound scary, but that is the key behind how to not be burnt out.
Right. I remember when we signed up, since I'm starting this new company, and we were talking, and I'm like, well, I've got to focus all my effort and money on the company. And like one of the challenges you gave me was, well, what about if you had more energy? What if you had, I'm like, that's a good point. So it was like, I definitely committed to prioritizing myself, and absolutely like it's paid dividends just in the amount of energy I've gained and all of that. What are some of the biggest challenges that you see your clients facing when they enter the program?
Yeah. So first of all, most of the women that I work with are high powered, very driven, just like you.
Yeah.
So they're production based, driven women. I naturally attract that, and I work well because I am that. I work well with women like that.
Yeah.
And so I know that audience really well, right?
Oh.
It's my avatar. And so here's some of the things so first of all, most women that come to me, they've gained extra fat.
Right.
And the interesting piece is that the extra fat it's a symptom, it's not a cause. Okay.
Right.
So, of course I advertise this as a hormone reset and weight loss program, but the extra weight really means something. It shows something. When ancestrally, if we go back 125,000 years, there's a primitive wiring in our brain that makes sure that we're surviving. And it does it by avoiding pain and chasing pleasure.
Right.
Okay. So what happens is anything that's perceived as pain, we try to avoid.
Right.
And so what I notice is most of us will push down a lot of the stressors that come along with like just being a high driven person, right?
Right. Right.
So when we do that, what happens is it's hard to feel if you're hungry.
Right.
Many of the women I work with end up skipping meals. And so this is across the board. Like, why would you eat on time?
Right.
So
right.
we skip meals. And when you have a lot of stress, it's interesting because if you look at people stomaching their stress, the energy is going into their stomach and they can't feel hungry anymore.
Right.
Why is that important?
Right.
Is it okay to skip a meal? When you skip your meal, it triggers that old ancestral wiring.
Exactly.
And it tells you you're going to survival mode. So this is going to be this might be triggering to say.
Right.
But if you're storing extra fat,
Yep.
you are in survival mode.
Yes.
If you're lean and not storing fat, you're thriving. That again, that could be triggering, but that's ancestrally true.
The thing that I was like totally in awe with was I loved the thing about the 3 different types of fat. So you've got, I can't remember, I know that it's visceral fat,
structural, normal, and abnormal. Yep, exactly.
So so it was interesting to me. I've done a lot of different diets and programs and lifestyle changes out there, because I've struggled with my weight my whole life.
Yeah.
And, I look back 2014, I had a gastric sleeve. I did really well to lose the weight, sticking to healthy eating, working out. COVID hit. I actually lost a lot of weight during COVID because I had time. I was at home. I wasn't
Yeah.
traveling as much. And then I had a bad car accident in 2023. And I was like, I'm not going to, for whatever reason, I was like, I'm not going to prioritize my exercise and my eating. I'm just going to focus on my mental health because I didn't think about how they were related.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest transformations for me was it's like you do have to think of food as your fuel, right? And for your body. And I think the biggest thing for me was actually taking that time to get the sleep, do the energy work, to do some of that. And I'd love for you, we'll get into the energy work in a little bit, but I'd love for you to talk about the sleep aspect, because just so you all know, I had this one day where I texted Dr. Cody and I was like, look, Dr. Cody, I got 5.5 hours sleep. I think I was up like 2 pounds or 1.5 pounds or something. I'm like, I was really stressed out that night. I couldn't get to sleep. I went to sleep and took a nap, like a 3-hour nap, and I woke up and I was down 2.5 pounds. I'm like,
Yeah.
how the heck is that possible? So can you share a little bit about the sleep and how that helps?
Yeah. So when we look at this concept of surviving and thriving, one of the interesting pieces is that there's certain things you can do to help tell your body that you're not struggling. Okay.
Right.
So this is like not common knowledge, which it should be. It's such basic things, but giving yourself a proper sleep bedtime allows your body to know that it's going to be okay. If you're going to bed one night at 3 hours later and then another night 3 hours earlier, your body can't rely on you.
Right.
And so let's talk about why is it important. So sleep, many women go to the doctor for their hormones.
Right.
Hey, can you check my hormones? Okay.
Right.
And they want to get their hormones balanced.
Right.
Let me say something probably triggering also.
Right.
In the history of taking hormones, no one's hormones have ever gotten balanced. Do you know that?
That's crazy.
And here's why, is because your hormones can't get balanced by taking something from the outside.
Right.
So because when you take a hormone, your hormones don't have to actually produce their own at the same level.
Right.
So we're not really balancing your hormones.
Right.
We're taking someone else's hormones. And so when you look at it from that angle,
Right.
at night during deep sleep, so let's say you go to bed around 9 or 10 o'clock,
Right.
between midnight and 2 is a deep sleep cycle. In your deep sleep cycle, the universe put inside you a period of time to rebalance hormones. You already have a hormone rebalancing mechanism and time built in. It's at night during your deep sleep. And during that time, your hormones will literally go through their own wavelengths of balancing. Even growth hormone is released in spurts. And that's important because women want to build muscle.
Right.
But if you go work out, even if you're eating the right protein and you
Right.
don't get that deep sleep, you're not releasing growth hormone.
Right.
So I love the knowledge of knowing that you already have the ability to. Isn't it funny to go to a doctor and go, Doc, can you balance my hormones?
I know.
But inside you, at night, you already have that mechanism inside you.
If you're a senior leader who keeps saying yes because it feels easier than slowing down to prioritize, you're not alone. I work with leaders who are operating at a high level but paying for it with burnout, overwhelm, and self-abandonment. When you get clear on what actually matters, everything elevates. Your impact, your focus, your legacy, and your peace of mind. If you're ready for that kind of clarity, I'd love to talk. Book a free call with me at freejoycall.com. Right. That's so crazy. Cause like right when I think back to like right when COVID hit, I started going through some of those hormone challenges and having some issues there. And I'd say definitely over the past 6 years, I've had, imbalances in either estrogen or progesterone or testosterone, different things like that.
Yeah.
And, I was either freezing cold or I'd have hot flash. And I was like, oh my gosh, hot flashes, what is this? Like, I'm too young to be having that. How do I deal with this? But I have noticed on the program, my hot flashes have completely
Oh,
stopped.
wow. That's so
And
cool.
it's like,
Yeah.
it's so amazing to just be like, oh, you know what? I actually am not sweating up a storm. I mean, I was like, my clothes are drenched, like,
Hmm.
and then the next minute I'd be freezing. I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah.
So I definitely think that's so neat. And
That's so cool.
the other thing that you had mentioned was, getting the prescriptions and stuff. I mean, I've tried prescriptions for progesterone, different things like that. Just in the 30 days in doing this program, I'm off. I was on a GLP-1. I'm off of that. I'm off a number of different medicines,
Hmm.
and I feel 100 times better.
Ooh,
And
wow.
so it's like I'm looking at how, how much the symptoms were being caused by the medicine, and
Yeah.
I'm as we we're working to try to get me off everything. And
Yeah.
I think it's so great to see, because I thought I was losing my mind. I mean, I went
Yeah.
to every doctor. I went to a heart doctor because I was having fainting and
Mm.
things like that. And when we met and we connected at first, you're like, Joy, you're not eating enough. You
Mm.
need to eat more. I'm like, no, but I can't, because if I eat more, I'm going to gain weight and this, that, and the other. And I can't eat more because I had the sleeve. And the interesting thing is I like how you start everybody at the 4 ounces,
Yeah.
and then you gradually increase as you're hungry. And you're like, Joy, eat more. Joy, eat more. And so
Yeah.
now I think I'm at 8 ounces each meal, and it's like, okay, I feel good.
Yeah.
And there are times when I may not be able to eat the full 8 ounces, but I can eat it a little bit later,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
still get it in. And what I'm finding is I'm sleeping better at night. I'm getting, such better, you know, just overall energy throughout the day. I don't have to have coffee. It's nice, but
Yeah.
I don't have to have that extra caffeine. And it's just been so helpful.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that's not typical in our society, but the energy work. I have to say that has been really interesting for me as well, and the stress. So
Mhm.
I'd say let's start with the energy work and then talk a little bit about how stress is
Yeah.
impacting you, because I got some good stories there too.
Yeah, and I want to acknowledge what you just said. So for those watching, this is someone you're listening to,
Hmm.
15 pounds down, but did you hear what she said? I'm eating more. I'm eating
Hmm.
enough.
So
And so I want to
true.
make sure, I also want to touch on you mentioning about having energy. For those women watching, and there's probably some men watching too, executives,
Hmm.
what's the financial benefit of having more energy? Like, what's the actual cost to you, and how much more do you produce and make
Oh
from
my
having energy?
gosh.
That's like,
It's been so, I mean, I've had the energy to be able to put in the longer hours for the day, and, actually put in some exercise. And that was the thing that killed me. I was like, wait, you don't want us to exercise? We can
yeah,
only walk for 30 minutes a
right,
day,
right,
if that. And I'm like, no, that can't be. Like, I
right.
like doing my kickboxing. I like doing all these different things. And
Yeah.
what I think about it as is a little bit more like an elimination diet. So,
Mm.
like, I have friends that are severely allergic to a number of different foods. One of my best friends allergic to corn. That's in corn syrup, corn everything. You
Right,
know what I
right,
mean?
right.
And I look at that and I'm like, okay, when we were doing allergy testing, we had to literally eliminate all foods.
Mm.
And this is what we're doing. For the 40 days, it's an elimination diet, and then we'll be able to work back in the
Right.
other items and see how your body reacts.
Yeah.
That's something that I like, is the reporting and kind of saying, hey, here's what I've been eating, here's how it might have changed.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but let's get back to
Yeah.
the
Okay.
energy
Cool.
work. I
So
love
yeah, I
that.
wanted
That
to
is
say
great.
that so that
Yeah,
way
it's a
people
great
is like,
point.
wait a minute, she's eating more and not working out
Right.
and losing 50 pounds. Just make sure you guys heard that, because yesterday, and we'll talk about the energy work.
Right.
Yesterday, I had someone ask me, "Hey, I'm on GLP-1s. Why would I do your program?"
Right.
And they go, "Well, if you're just trying to lose weight quickly, you could do GLP-1s." But I
Right.
asked this person, "How much have you learned about yourself in the GLP-1s?" And she was like, "Well, not much,
Right.
because what it's doing is causing you to not eat enough, right?"
Right.
So I said, "Well, the difference between my program and that would be you'd learn to put yourself first and love yourself again." And she was kind of like, "What? I don't even understand that, right?
Right.
Because we're
Right.
not starving ourselves anymore. You're learning to eat
Hmm.
enough." So
Exactly.
anyway, so yeah, let's go into, so I found, let me give a quick background. I used to teach metaphysical seminars. So
Right.
how does the mind affect the body?
Right.
I've gone so far deep into neuroscience to understand how the body functions. And this is the most wild thing. Your body is a loudspeaker of your consciousness.
Hmm.
Now that might be airy fairy for some people,
No,
but
but it's true. Yeah.
anatomically, scientifically, and biologically, your
Right.
body expresses you.
Right.
So when I look at someone's body years ago, I started realizing if you know how to read the body, you're reading inside
Right.
them, right?
Right.
So everything's transcribed on there. So when you look at this from this angle, is that the symptoms and the things that you're going through, your
Yep.
body's trying to talk back to you, right?
Right. Right.
So when you look at the word energy, a lot of people have different definitions of that.
Right. Right.
But the external environment and the way that we process
Yep.
stress, when it comes in, most of us have been taught to do one of two things with emotions. Okay,
Okay.
this is standard. Either we have learned to repress
Right.
an emotion or express an emotion.
Yep.
So I think most have been a professional repressor.
Yeah.
So how do you do that? I just shove that on down and keep producing. I'm an executive, so why not just keep
So
moving forward,
true.
right?
So true.
And I got stuff to do. Or so you can repress or express. And express means
Right.
I go punch a punching bag, talk to a
Right.
counselor. But I found that both of those things don't fully allow the energy to move through me.
Right.
So I just want to say that first of
No,
all.
that's great. And I know believe me, I was skeptical on some of the energy work at first too. And then I'd started doing acupuncture because a friend of mine had told me about that. And especially if after the car accident, I was trying everything. And I did a breath work class with that teacher, with
Yeah.
that acupuncturist. And I mean, it was really weird how you could feel the energy moving. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. But
Yeah.
I felt so much lighter after that. And it
Yes.
just helped, my neck pain, my back pain, and things like that.
Yeah.
And the energy work on this, it's been interesting because I have done a lot of work. Like I haven't felt different things come up as much, but I have been clear to say, okay, I was stressed with this, and this is, this was the family stress that I had. Here's the financial stress. Here's this. I was in an all-day training. That's the other
Yep.
thing is learning. You've got to eat more, and
Yeah,
so we just did a
exactly.
2-day yesterday, and it was like, oh my gosh, I'm just sitting there eating my cherries and my, my apples or different, my different snacks. And it was crazy because I still lost during that time.
Exactly.
And so,
Right.
tell us a little bit, because I think that transitions a little into the stress aspect of things
Yeah.
when you're talking about the positive versus the negative stress. Can you tell us a
Sure.
little bit more about that?
Yeah, and let's look at first of all, so people really get clarity on the energy piece. Is that when you think, you burn energy. When you're feeling, you're burning energy. And so it's interesting to understand that when, especially with executives, you burning a ton of energy mentally.
Right.
You actually burn calories when you think. And
That's
so,
crazy.
yeah, there's 20% of your calories can be burnt just from thinking.
Wow.
And I think they're even more depending on who you are.
Right.
But that's important because someone can go, I sat around all day and I just was on the computer, and think you don't need more food.
Right.
And yet you were very mentally busy and you actually needed more food. So
Right.
you might actually be triggering fat storage by not eating enough.
Right.
So looking at energy, and we'll go into this is a deeper piece of this, but this is based on the law of polarity. The law of polarity came from Hermetic philosophy,
Okay.
thousands of years
Right.
ago, but it still stands true today that everything in life is a polarity. So we take a battery,
Right.
a battery has negative and positive poles.
Yep.
And so if you put a positive pole next to a negative pole, they attract.
Right.
And you put two positive poles together, they repel.
Yep.
So this is the most wild thing, is that when we talk about energy, I look at it from
Mm-hmm.
the standpoint of it's either positive or negative energy.
Okay.
Both of those are out of balance inside a human.
Right.
So if I go, man, if I just judge myself, I'm very critical of myself for
Right.
something, right? Or if I judge someone else, that would be considered negative energy.
Right.
But the most wild thing started to occur is the things that we judge inside others tend to be parts of self we haven't loved.
Right.
And that was just, when I realized that, it was mind blowing. So, this might be a real life example of someone saying, I'm not going to be like my dad,
Right.
or I'm going to be like my mom. Many people have done that.
Right. Right.
When you say that, you're criticizing it, which means you're going to end up just
Yeah.
like your dad or mom.
Yeah.
Now, that might resonate with a lot of people.
Oh, it
Yeah.
resonates with me. I can
Yeah.
tell you that.
Right.
But yeah, I love that point, because I think it is so funny because, like, for me, I'm a big observer, and I was diagnosed late in life with ADHD, and so I'm just like I pick up everything around me, like I surveil,
Yeah.
and I don't even realize it, and I'm surveilling. And one of the things that I think about when you're, when in relationships, you think about your perfect partner and what you want in that, and
Yeah.
in your family, like what is it that you're having challenges with? And I know a saying that my mom used to use with us all the time is if you've got a finger pointed at one person, but you got 4 pointed back at yourself. And so really what you're seeing in them that you don't like is something that you don't like within yourself. And I know we talked
Yep.
about this a little bit the other day
Yeah.
with like, those feelings. What is it about that person that was irritating you or bothering you? And how do you let that go? And how do you become okay with that?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And what I found was this is somewhat for me was mind blowing when I figured this out. But you don't move on from something because that something is trying to show you parts of yourself.
Right.
So that's the problem is you watch people move on from something or from a relationship. Women I've seen,
Right,
men
right.
too, but women go, I got rid of the narcissistic man. He was terrible. Only
But
to
you
find another narcissist.
Yep,
And
exactly.
it's because you haven't owned the parts of yourself that,
That
are
not
narcissistic.
Exactly.
And I think as an executive, one of the most powerful things you can do is own your narcissistic parts.
Yeah.
Because you need those parts. Go through the 9
You
traits.
do.
And one of those traits, by the way,
Right.
is having grandiose ideas.
Right.
Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
You
And
have-
there's nothing wrong with
Yeah,
that.
believing that something's going to happen greater that it's grander than yourself. You're like,
Right.
that's narcissistic.
That is.
That's me.
That
I
is
believe,
so
right?
funny. I think one of the things that I struggled with in the sales mindset was, manipulation. We talked a little bit about that in
Yeah.
previously because I've always had such a negative connotation of
Yeah.
like I pick up when people are trying to be manipulative like that,
Yeah,
and
right.
I'm like, what are they trying to get,
Yeah.
And I think you had a good perspective on that. Can you share a little bit on the opposite of the manipulation part of it?
Yeah, because when we classify something as negative, right,
Mm-hmm.
like manipulation, what's happening is we haven't owned where we really need that.
Right.
And I think you can look at it for you, Joy, specifically. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, where does Joy need to step and really influence and
Right.
really communicate even more
Right.
clearly, right?
Yeah.
It's funny because manipulation, it's like your kids learn to manipulate or they learn to properly communicate how to get what they want.
Right.
Like that's
I-
isn't that great sales? Like
That
isn't
is,
that
and
yeah.
that was the thing was it's like, Joy, take away the manipulation. And you said, think about it more as asking for what you want.
Yeah.
And manipulation, what I found, I think in the research online and everything is it's the negative. It's almost like you're doing it in a way to get what you want, but to cause harm into somebody else. When I look at the situations where I'm like, oh, they're being manipulative or they're doing this, they're doing that, it's not necessarily that they're looking to harm anybody.
Right.
It comes from a place of fear for them. It can come
Exactly.
from, fear of losing that person or fear of loss of control, And so it gave me the opportunity to be more empathetic when
Yeah.
I was able to take that step back.
Yeah.
And one of those things, when I look at it from that executive lens, I mean, you see it all the time in corporate America
Mm-hmm.
and, in anything in life is, your interactions with different people and really being able to having that ability and that self-awareness to be able to take a step back and say, oh, something's being triggered in me. For me, it triggers right here and right here. So once I start getting a feeling here or right in here, I'm like, okay, what is this feeling about? Is it a good one? Is it a negative one? What's going on? I
Yeah.
think that's one of the things you're teaching us in
Yeah.
the program is to
Yeah.
kind of own those feelings and be aware of them.
True, and I actually we were going right where I was going to go with that as triggers. This
Right.
it's funny because that's why I even said this might be triggering for someone. A trigger is a part of yourself you haven't loved being shown
Right.
to you from something from the outside.
Right.
Now that again, it's hard to comprehend that because, like you said, if you see
Yeah.
someone manipulating, right?
Yeah.
Then I'll just run through my process. I'll go the moment I go, oh man, I'm just judging that person. I criticize them for doing that.
Yeah.
I have to. First of all, your brain's going to do it. We don't
Right.
stop criticizing. So
Right.
let's just stop trying to stop
It's
doing
okay
it.
if you criticize. It's
gonna
just like, okay, noted.
The
check,
brain is
and
going to
move
do
on.
it. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. So I'll go, oh, okay, my brain's criticizing this person. Then I'll go, it's already happening, right? So I go, then where do I manipulate? And I'll go, where have I done that? And I'll find the moments and I go, when I find them, I go, what's been the benefits of me doing that? And I fall in love with that part. Because here's the
How do you
thing.
do that?
Well-
How do you do that?
Well, there's ways, there's a process that I run people
Right,
through,
that's
but
right, I know.
but I ask people first of all, what's the benefits of that part of self? So
Right.
what I'll do specifically is find a moment that I manipulated someone.
Okay.
So I'll first of all find the moment. First of all, when you ask that question, the brain will go, it's nowhere.
Right, right.
But you once you find it, you go, oh, that's where I did it, and then I'll run someone through questions. What was the benefit to you and the other person of manipulating them?
Right.
At first, the brain will be blank. because it doesn't want you to see this.
Right.
The reason why is it perceives it's trying to help you.
Right.
So what triggers are really, they're really stopping you from really getting to see and love yourself fully.
Right.
The brain is thinking it's helping you.
Right.
So once you find the benefits and you go, oh my gosh, I feel how I benefit that person, someone else, you fall in love with that part.
Yeah.
Then you go back to that person and you go, what's the benefit of them manipulating me? And you run through it and you go, oh my gosh.
Right.
You start seeing what I think is everyone, so many songs and stories about love.
Right.
But I think love is the eminent energy that isn't good or bad. I don't think
Right.
it has positive or negative.
Okay.
Love just is.
Okay.
And that's the, you know, when you love
Yeah,
parts of self.
yeah.
So when someone is trying to manipulate you, you go, I see myself. I love you for what you're doing. You go, I love how that's awesome.
Right.
I do that too. And it's like, there's no trigger anymore.
I'll be honest, when I first saw you doing that, I'm like, this guy's full of crap. Like, what is he doing? But he's just smiling all the time. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm not letting it get to me anymore. That is such a great thing.
You love it. Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's what when we look, the word, this is a little bigger, but the word
Yeah.
enlightenment,
Yeah.
when I started really thinking about enlightenment, because
Yes.
we're running a weight loss programs, you're losing weight, you're getting lighter, but the more criticism we have, the heavier we feel. You start
Right.
feeling dense and heavy.
Right.
And you go, I might need some depression meds. Like I might need, because I'm feeling
Right.
heavy.
Exactly. And that was the thing, was like when I was going through like my times where I had family issues, I had work stress, I had financial stress. And I was like, what is all this stuff? How do I manage it all? I just like, okay, let me go to the doctor. Let me
Yeah.
increase my meds. Let me do this. Let me do that. And it was like, I'm like, no, like this isn't working. And you read the list of side effects, and the side effects are the things that you're trying to fix sometimes. And you're
Yeah,
like, how is this
right.
working for
Good
me?
point,
You
good
know?
point.
And so I think doing the work around that has been really good. And I know we're getting near time, but
Yeah.
one of the last things I want to mention is your school group community.
Yeah.
That has been so great and
Oh.
such an inspiration.
Oh, cool.
You know, if you want to share a little bit about that, I love the fact that you have a free approach to it. And then
Yeah.
anybody that signs up with you from a program perspective, they get to be a member as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Thanks for mentioning that. That's something, honestly, that it's a community that I've been doing this for a while, but it's a community that I realized I can work with women, and I have many women that have these amazing results and they're off their
Right,
medications. And
right.
but the challenge was you go back to your environment with other women who are not eating on time,
Right.
and who are not putting themselves first, and it's a big
Right.
deal. So the point was to have a community, so anyone can join. It's called Fit Over 40.
Yep.
Anyone can join it, and you get to see like posts of women like,
Yeah.
I lost 2 pounds today, I lost 1
Right,
pound, or I'm down
right.
15 pounds. And we have weekly calls even.
Yeah.
And so it is like, I think it's interesting because I think community is becoming, I think in the next 5 to 10 years,
Oh yeah. It's massive.
being a real person is going to be like the new hack.
Right.
Because we're not robots
Right.
anymore, you know?
Well, and the biggest challenge for me has always been having that community. You know, I have tons of friends that are supportive, and I have an amazing family that I'm very close to, and I always feel very blessed, but we're all on different paths.
Yeah.
And so, and we could be on the same path, but at different points in it. And so the fact that you have this community to help bring us along, you know, it has been very helpful. So definitely,
Cool.
if you want to see my journey with Dr. Cody,
Yeah.
go in there, because I'm a frequent poster.
Yeah, I love that.
And but if you also want to join and are interested, I think that's a good thing. So,
Yeah.
well, are there any last words that you want to share, and just kind of parting thoughts?
Well, really want to tune into your audience as executives, and just feeling like feeling that who you really are, how much you love to produce, and why would you want to reclaim your health?
Yeah.
I think that's an important piece to process because, listen, in 2019, I was very, very sick, and I was at the point of almost dying, and I gleaned something pretty important. I think this is
Right.
powerful. I found a book that I never wanted to read. It was called The 5 Regrets.
Okay.
And it's a woman who spent 30 years in hospice. So she spent thousands of people who their
Right.
last dying words. Okay.
Right.
And I started reading this book because I was
Right.
dying.
Yeah.
And so the book was amazing. And nowhere in those 5 things did someone say, I wish I'd have made more money. No
Right.
one said, not
Right.
one
Right.
said, no one said, I wish I'd have grown a bigger business.
Right.
No one said that.
Yeah.
No one said, I wish I'd have spent more time in my big house, or I wish
Right.
I'd had more cars.
Right.
What people said was, I wish, this is the number one thing, I wish I would live the life that I wanted, not the life that others wanted for me.
Right.
If you really think about thousands of people coming to the last few minutes of their life and saying that, it made me go, interesting. What? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
some of the other things that were said were, I wish I spent more time with my friends.
Right.
And one of the third things was, I wish I'd laugh more.
Right.
So that changed my life because
Right.
I was production driven. I was on my second company at the time. I had
Right.
multiple products on Amazon.
Yeah.
And I really started going, I don't want to get to the end of my life having produced
Yeah.
all these things and having, you would have that regret.
Right.
So I'm saying that because I believe that when you create health,
Right.
then you're able to really live a fulfilling life.
Right.
You then can laugh with your friends. You feel fulfilled, but it's hard to feel what you truly
Right.
want when you're feeling so heavy in your body. So,
Right.
yeah.
Well, and that's so interesting because, just to kind of piggyback off of that, I think about my life transition. And really, a lot of it started back during COVID when I was, in my apartment alone in New York and, working through things. Yeah, I had the time to focus on myself, but I had my nephews that were in Orlando, and my nieces and nephews in Tampa, my niece and nephews in Virginia. My family was all over, and I'm like, I'm working hard. Like everybody understood. Like I've always had a very understanding family of like work came first, and
Yeah.
I did for a while try to prioritize like, okay, I'll prioritize a relationship. What I've learned is it's like that work-life integration.
Yeah.
But really the shift started for me back during COVID when I was like, you know what? My parents are getting older. My mom worked in hospice for over 20 years. And so she's always, she had told us about a similar, that book and the
Totally.
questions there. And,
Okay.
and one of the things that stuck for me was I was like, it's not about how much money I make. Like, yeah, making money is great, but it's those experiences. It's being able to be an influence, being able to be a part of my nephews and nieces and families and friends' lives, because my friends and family were always very accepting of being like, oh yeah, we know you got to work. We know you got to
Yeah.
work. And it almost became like that was my hack. And then
Yeah.
I was just alone. Now, I love my alone time. I'm a huge introvert. I definitely love to recharge. And I know most people think I'm an extrovert, but I recharge when I get my time to meditate and pray and get that time in. So, being able to do that and think through like, okay, I want to prioritize my family and friends. And it really has helped bring that joy back into my life and be able to give me more energy to go out and be a part of life and enjoy those times.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's well said. Well
Thank
said.
you. Well, thank you so much for being here, Dr.
Yeah.
Cody. And thank you so much for joining us today. If you liked today's episode, please subscribe. All the information can be found in the show notes. And until next time, keep your joyous edge. See you next week.